I love that. I love that. It's stuck in my head, that theme song. What's up, everyone? I'm Shafi Malik, and you're listening to the Who Dropped the Popcorn podcast. The premise is simple. One of us picks a film that we know no one else in the group has seen. The rest of the group watch the film together in their own time, and we get together here and discuss it. Joining me tonight is Dave McHugh.
What's up?
Andy Newlands.
Thank fly past, walk jam, nitty gritty. You're listening to the boy from the big bad city.
And all the way from the north of England, Kyle Hammond.
Hello. Is that boring?
I'm sorry, Kyle. I ripped off your witty response. I'm sorry, man.
It's all right.
You had all afternoon for your intro. You went with hello. This is jam.
You should have just gone yeshka meshk. Old school.
The first in the writer is Andy Newlands. He's chosen Le Mans 66, also titled for North America, Ford V Ferrari, written by brothers Jez and John Henry Butterworth and directed by James Mangold. Le Mans 66 tells the story of American car designer Carroll Shelby, played by Matt Damon, and driver Ken Miles, played by Christian Bale, as they battle corporate interference and the laws of physics to build a revolutionary race car for Ford in order to defeat Ferrari in the 24 hours at Le Mans in 1966. So, Andy, why did you choose this film?
So, Easter egg for you. I actually chose another film for this podcast called The Good Liar with Helen Mirren, but Dave, for no reason whatsoever, just attacked me and said, "Oh, it's a terrible film. You can't do that." And I don't even think you've seen that film, Dave. So, an unprovoked attack. So
Seen it twice.
I thought, right, you've seen it twice.
Have you already seen it, Dave? Did you?
Nah.
See, a liar. It's honestly, honestly, audience members, as you listen to us, you'll get a feeling for how insane Dave is and what we've had to cope with. But for now, I'll answer Shafi's question. I am a simpleton. I think everybody on this podcast will review. I like films that are entertaining. And I thought Ford versus Ferrari for our first film would be a gas.
That's the reason why.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, I thought, I love Christian Bale films. You guys are always talking about Christian Bale, whether it's Batman. Dave lives his whole life via American Psycho. I like Matt Damon. I always have done since the young days of Ben Affleck. But also, as you know, I'm really into my cars. So I'm probably the car nerd of the group. I've got motorbikes, scooters, cars. I love Formula One. I love America. I love that era as well. This was sort of. I won't go into too much detail here, but yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm a bit like Richard Hammond from Top Gear. I am that cheesy middle class English person that wants to be John Wayne. But yeah, I just thought it would be entertaining. I like entertaining films. Star Wars, anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it.
Just to interrupt, what are your petrol head credentials? What?
My credentials?
Yeah.
So what do you mean? What's my background as to being the self-proclaimed petrol head? Okay.
Yeah.
So if I look back at my family history, I think it all stems from my great-grandfather, who was one of the head taxi men in Jersey. So I'm talking like the 40s and 50s now. So not many people had cars, but he did. He didn't own any of them, but he was the main driver. And my granddad, when I was growing up, always had motorbikes. The garage smelt like petrol. My uncle the same. When I was 16, I got my first bike. There wasn't many of us at school that had them, but I've always just been into them. I took one to London. That was a mistake. I took it there. Went out for a meal, and when I got home, some bastard had stolen it, so I had to get the train for the next 2 years. But I just love it. I don't think anyone on this group would doubt that I'm probably the main petrol head of the group, unless of course, you think you're more Mad Max than me. But
more Tom Hardy.
I doubt it. Yeah. I doubt it. I'm the Tom Hardy. That's exactly right. I'm the Tom Hardy of the group. I think Kyle's more of a Citroen Picasso type man. Shafi's just, got gold Mercedes. Dave, doesn't even have a driving license, so I don't even know how to start with that one.
I just want to point out, Andy, I'm a Citroen C3 is what I own, not a Citroen.
Oh, Citroen. Holy shit, I got the brand right though. That's mental. So yeah, and then the other main reason was I needed to watch this film. So it's very rare that I'll get like 2 to 3 hours to sit down and watch a film because my kids are quite young. So I needed something that I could watch with my wife. And yeah, this film ticked a lot of boxes for being a film that you can watch as a couple, albeit I think it's probably been enjoyed more by men. So I'll go into that in a moment, but that's my very long-winded answer to what was a quite simple question. So sorry about the length.
That's
of
all
time
right.
on
That's
that
good.
one.
How aware were you of the story, before watching the film?
I was only aware from what I'd seen on Top Gear. So 10 to 15 minutes worth of James May over the last decade, talking about Enzo Ferrari, storming out of the boardrooms because of the racing rights against Ford, and then Ford's monumental war. It was a war basically between two companies to shift more motors through the advertising of the racing rights, I guess. But I'm not going to lie, I didn't know the intricate, granular detail. I just knew it was going to be a cool story. How could it not be? Ferrari, Ford, it's fucking amazing.
Do you watch like the Le Mans race, like when it's on and stuff?
No, I'm not at that level of
24
fandom.
hours, right? Yeah.
I don't. So I don't.
That's some commitment.
Yeah, I've never. And to be honest with you, I must be honest. I wouldn't even be able to name one driver. Do you watch
Formula One? Do you watch Formula One?
Yeah, I will. I won't. If I'm in, I won't. I'm not one of these. So my uncle will be like, "No, I'm not having lunch at this time because I want to watch Lewis Hamilton go fast." I'll have a roast chicken, mate. Chill out, and then I'll go back to the race. But that's where I am with this.
Okay. Cool.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I wasn't aware of the story as such. I mean, I knew who Carroll Shelby was, but Ken Miles I've never heard of until this film came out. I mean, I don't watch Top Gear. I know there's been a bit about it on there, but I no longer watch Top Gear. Ever since I was once off sick for 2 weeks and watched nothing but Top Gear on Dave, and I've never watched it since. But no, I wasn't aware of Ken Miles. When you announced this film, I was a bit like, because I'm not a petrol head at all. As I just said, I drive a Citroen C3. I forgot where I was now. Sorry. No, I wasn't aware of Ken Miles, and I wasn't aware of the story as such. No.
Because you said you weren't really looking forward to watching it. Is that right?
This is not. I wouldn't have chosen to watch this as such because I had no expectations of this film. It was actually enjoyable. I liked it because when you have no expectations of anything, and then you watch something kind of out of the blue, and I enjoyed it. It was a good film. I liked it.
And you resonated with the old style masculinity. You're goddamn right.
I'll tell you now, Andy, that I watched it at the right time because it's a film that's fun. It's fun, and it's And I think I was having a shitty day or a shitty week, and it's so sort of light and breezy, to kind of like the tone of it, to the sort of I was sort of hesitant to watch it because it was 2.5 hours, but those 2.5 hours sort of flew by. I'm not sure how you guys feel, but it didn't feel kind of slowed down.
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, man.
Wow, that's amazing. I wouldn't have. If you would have said how long is the film, I would have said 100, 110, maybe max.
I mean, I had to watch it in 2 sittings because that is just my life at the minute. But yeah, I think I watched probably 90 minutes the first time, and then the last hour the day after.
So yeah, I think it's really, as far as sort of like a good time, I would recommend it to someone who just wants to sort of switch their brain off and just wants to sort of go along for the ride, and and it's fun. And I was really pleased that you picked this film actually, because
holy shit, thank you very much. It's no masterpiece, but it's just fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I was trying to think of like a really cool thing to say on this pod, and I call it solid cinema. I'll leave you with that.
Solid cinema. Nice. Dave has been very quiet so far. So, because I know you're a fan of Rush, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen Senna? Don't nod. Have you seen Senna?
Yeah, I nodded and said something, so that's fine. I didn't just.
Oh, Larry. This is like Ford versus Ferrari already. We're back in the boardroom. Chill out.
Dave, so have you seen Senna or not?
I don't think so. No.
Did you watch this film?
I think it's unfair to compare this film to Rush because it's different. Like,
Well said.
Like a movie, just as a movie, I think Rush is so much better. Just like The Godfather is so much better than this film. You know, it's just, I think it's such a different film. So I think the story is more interesting than the film. I quite like the story, but I could have been told the story in 90 seconds, I guess. So I didn't enjoy this film at all, and I felt like the 2.5 hours did actually drag. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like Bale, I thought Bale was brilliant, and I thought Matt Damon was mediocre at best. And it's just I didn't care. Like,
right.
I didn't care. I don't know. I'm contradicting myself if I compare it to Rush. I cared so much about both of them too. It was just one man sharpens each other, iron sharpens iron. I just loved Rush. I was close to tears watching Rush when they saluted each other. But for me, this film was just dull. It was dull. It felt like 4 hours to me.
Rush is about a person versus a person, and they're polar opposites of each other in who they are. Whereas this is about corporation versus corporation. So I understand that, yeah, why you wouldn't give a shit about Ford and Ferrari. But yeah, I agree. Rush, I preferred Rush as a film. Rush is a great film.
Yeah, it just seems almost unfair to compare them. To me, it seems unfair because, like you say, the contradictory characters.
I thought Matt Damon was amazing.
It's so interesting watching them against each other in the 70s. One is the scientist, one is the playboy. I just loved it.
Andy's triggered.
I cannot believe you thought Matt Damon was mediocre.
Yeah,
he excels at this shit. A man of passion and integrity who's slightly like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that, and then bang. I thought he tied it all together in his lovely cowboy hat.
It was his performance was slightly more interesting than that one about oil fields with George Clooney. What's that one?
Oh my God.
Oh, Syriana.
Anything with George Clooney.
The Syriana film. His character was just as dull as in Syriana. I'm sorry.
It'll never be Ocean's 13. I appreciate that, but it was good.
Can I just say, going back to Rush, and who has seen Senna here then?
No, not seen it. No.
Yeah, Andy's seen Senna, right? Yeah. The thing is
amazing, but I've never got around to watching it because I'm not into
it is amazing.
Such, yeah.
With both Senna and Rush, there's sort of like a, I was sort of watching it feeling slightly uncomfortable because it's so intense. You're from the beginning, you're aware of sort of the dangers that these people have, and that's what I was sort of preparing myself for when watching Ford V Ferrari, that it would be, is this person going to survive, et cetera, but what I sort of welcomed was the, is not being sort of aware of that. It got rid of all that intensity, and it was just sort of like a nice sort of breezy film. And as much as I love Senna and Rush, I liked that departure of intensity, I guess.
Is Senna a documentary?
Yeah,
it's not acted.
Yeah,
it's not like a biopic or anything, is it?
It's a documentary.
Yeah. So they're all so different. All three films are so different. Then I guess I think it's weird that we shouldn't make the comparisons.
Senna is very similar to Rush because there's two rivals. There's two rivals, and they're always sort of on edge of who's going to survive, whether they're going to survive or not by the end of the race.
So Dave, I guess you think this is a motor racing film that gets stuck in first gear then?
See, I think it's wrong to compare it to Senna, and I think it's wrong to compare it to Rush. The only film that we could compare it to is Le Mans with,
Steve McQueen.
What his name? Yeah,
Steve McQueen.
Gosh,
have you seen
that's
that?
the only film we could compare it to. No, but that's because watching this made me really, really want to watch that.
Well, don't you want to compare it to Days of Thunder? No, not a fan.
Well, like I did like the joke in Days of Thunder when he's just going in for some minor brain surgery, and then Tom Cruise, no, the other dude says, "Well, any brain surgery on his brain would be minor." I do like that joke. That was the only thing I can remember.
I can't believe you didn't like this film, Dave. It's so fucking good. It's basically right. All this film is, you just got to sit down and enjoy yourself. It's a nice film about two old boys from the lovely world of racing in nice shiny cars, and the acting is so bloody superb. The villain is a boo hiss pantomime villain that you wanna.
So who is the villain?
Oh yeah. So
Patrick
Bateman just gets his mate in to.
It's
who
not
hasn't
Patrick
been in
Bateman.
anything for 20 years.
Patrick Bateman.
Josh Lucas, right? That's his name.
That's his mate. That's Halberstram from American Psycho, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I haven't seen him in anything for 20 years, and he pops up in this. It must have been, he must have begged Christian Bale, please, I'm on the dole, I've got no money, please let me be in this film. Honestly, that was what happened.
He was in the Hulk.
If I was him, I'd let you in my film.
Well,
he's just helping a mate out.
I know.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe this is making the bloody podcast that some actors on the dole, and that's the only reason he's in the film, and that's one of the reasons you hate the film. That's insane.
Honestly, it's kind of almost bordering on nepotism for me. This film. Honestly, it's outrageous.
Insane. You're basically Ken Miles. You're the impulsive, grumpy guy on this podcast. You're going to go up in flames by the end of it.
How come you're not talking?
I can't believe this. Well, that's the other thing. Actually, I'm not sure on the accents in this film. Like, I'm pretty sure he started in Birmingham and at one point went to Delhi and then came back and ended up in West Brom football ground. I'm glad
an English actor did. Could you imagine an American actor trying to do the sort of Midlands accent like that?
Like Josh Hart.
Hey, you want shooting? Hey, how fast are you going to go?
To be honest, the opening scene, I was like, oh dear, what's going on here with this accent? But after that, I forgot about it after that. The opening scene, I was a bit like, oh, because I mean, the Brummy accent's not the best of accents at all, is it really?
Oh dear.
It's the most annoying accent. Sorry, everyone. But after that, I forgot about it. But just wanted to go back to what you were saying about Josh Lucas, the villain as such. That was the letdown for me. It was
too cheesy.
It was too pantomime.
Yeah. Okay, I agree.
Had no reason to be that much of a dick, did he? Really?
Yeah. Why did he care so much?
We haven't done research on whether that actually happened or not, but that could have happened. They could have been
possibly, yeah.
So I'm not. So Shaf, I'm not going to say names here, but when I was watching it with Jen, I said, "God, that's just like," and then I named a man that I used to work with in a bank. Now I'm not going to say who that person is, but all I'm going to say to you guys out there, if you're listening, is we all know some proper douchebags in the corporate world who just they're so douchemania. It's insane. Like the WWE belt of douchemania. Like they're out there every day. They wake up and they just douche it up to the max. So it's not beyond reason that there is someone like that.
That outcome at the end where he made all three cars go past the finish line. Well, that must be. Spoiler. Spoiler.
So we should say at the beginning that this is spoilers from the beginning.
Yeah, we'll put a spoiler.
I can re-record the
spoilers for this film that came out 2 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Well done for all of you who made it through the last 8 minutes.
But that ending, when they I'm sure that must have happened in real life. So the fact is that we're saying,
no, it did. This is what happened, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure that possibly it might be Josh Lucas's character might be representing a whole committee of people, but
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
He's basically just the smorgasbord, one individual to convey the corruptness and gittiness of the Ford Motor Company.
And if you want to get anyone to do that, you might as well hire Josh Lucas, right? Because he's got.
Yeah, you might as well just help your mate out who's on the dole. Do him a favour, and then not give the whole film 1 star because he's kind, because he's a kind man. Goodness me.
Oh, Dave will be sad because Josh Lucas's next film is The Forever Purge. So he's going to ruin your favourite franchise.
Oh, mate. By the way, we need to someone choose The Purge because that is the greatest. Apart from Star Wars, that's well up there.
Andy, have you seen all Purge films?
Mate, I was the original Purge viewer on this group. It is insane. So, like,
have you seen
when
all
we
four?
were looking at, yeah, I got, mate, when we got our electric garage, I purposely got the type of garage I got because it's like when the and then the garage like the gates of fucking Mordor closing. It's insane. My entire house is set up in case the Purge 5 comes to Jersey.
I love the idea of locking down my house like that and just getting a candle, playing cards, drinking a bottle of rum. Just
you could do that. You could do that without a Purge, mate.
Nah, but it's not the same. I love the idea of the carnage. Just the carnage going on outside, and I'm just playing cards.
Wanking in the dark.
Oh my God, I'm going to do a Purge.
That is outright. Let's have a good Purge. Turn off our Zooms first.
Sorry, right. So we discussed the accents. So who do you think sort of comes off better, Matt Damon or Christian Bale out of this?
Christian Bale, yeah, hands down.
Yeah, he's got a bigger role, hasn't he?
I'm saying Matt Damon all the way, but the one standout actress is the Catriona Balfe, who played Miles' wife Molly.
She's
thought
Irish.
She was superb in this. Honestly, man, I thought she was absolutely superb.
I'd never seen her before until this film.
She's in a TV show called Outlander. Outlander?
She was by far the standout.
I'm going to sort of segue the conversation to me saying that I think Matt Damon is one of the most versatile actors working today.
Right, ends the podcast there. Well done, 10 out of 10. Bow, 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 bow. He's amazing.
I mean, not
ponytail and took on a load of Chinese dogs from the China Wall. It was insane.
Yeah. But
then he went to Mars and got home on a hot air balloon. And then he was in Vegas 3 times with George. He's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll read out. I remember like in the early 2000s, he did these really sort of diverse roles.
Then he became the American James Bond. Let's not forget that.
What?
Yeah, man.
Bourne.
Jason Bourne.
Oh yeah, exactly. So.
Oh yeah, one of the biggest grossing. Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah, like the talent is Mr. Ripley as well. These so many different roles.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So the first Bourne, that was released in
2002.
2002. And then the year before that was Ocean's 11. And the character he sort of plays in Ocean's 11 is this sort of kid who's a bit out of place, who sort of, you know, fresh face.
Wants to impress.
And it's a completely different, it's a complete contrast to who he plays in Bourne. And then
I think that was his evolution. He kind of was going away from having curtains to having a shorter haircut. That's what it was. His haircut. He went from having the blonde Goodwill Hunting hair.
It might have to do with his haircut because
it's got everything to do with his haircut, mate.
He did Behind the Candelabra in the same year he did Elysium. So I'm saying there's not many actors that can sort of have that sort of range, and you don't sort of blink. You don't even blink twice when you just think, well, that's Matt Damon, and you can sort of accept him being in either of these roles.
He's amazing. Interstellar, Saving Private Ryan, Elysium, The Great Wall, The Talented Mr. Ripley, Good Will Hunting, The Martian. He's amazing. Give that man an Oscar every year.
I love Elysium. I love that film. I think it's great.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He was amazing
Really?
in this film.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
I've not seen that. What's better, Elysium or Oblivion?
Oblivion's not great. Yeah, Elysium's better. It's not as good as District 9.
What's better? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's better, District 9 or Elysium?
District 9's better. Yeah, District 9's way better.
I agree. I think, but Elysium's not that bad.
Elysium was one of those films that I didn't know anything about. I just watched it, not expecting anything, no hype, and you're pleasantly surprised. Whereas if you hype something up too much and you watch it, you can only be disappointed, can't you?
Exactly. That's what she said.
So going to Christian Bale, who is there a performance that, you know, apart from the obvious ones, that you think are sort of underrated that doesn't get talked about?
Equilibrium.
He's actually very good in Equilibrium.
He's absolutely brilliant in Equilibrium. When he pulls down, when he's up against his window, pulling down the sort of sheet to reveal the sunset, it's just, I love that scene. It's incredible.
Mowgli.
I wish they'd committed to having no
I've not seen that.
acting. Like, they didn't need anyone else to act.
He plays Shere Khan, doesn't he?
Yeah. Why? That's all. That's what we should be reviewing.
I didn't watch that film because I watched the Jungle Book like year before. And I was like, I don't need to see this other version of it. It's like Volcano and Dante's Peak and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, you're not doing this.
This is and Baloo is sort of played by Andy Serkis, and he is a Cockney Baloo. Yeah, and he talks like that. All right, I'm Baloo. You're right. Yeah, that sort of.
Who was the original Baloo? It's like a jazz singer or something, wasn't he?
No, King Louis was a jazz singer.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, yeah.
So, by the way, Ford versus Ferrari got a 98% score on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just saying.
No, it didn't. It got 92.
Matt, I've got it right in front of me. 98%. It says audience score 98, tomato meter 92.
Yeah, that's who cares about the audience score?
See, that's the thing. That's where we massively differ, I think, all of you guys and me, because I am the audience. I think you guys come in as critics and you need to chill out and just appreciate that you're not in Iran or in Syria being bombed on. You're just lovely in front of your TVs, having a lovely time. Life is lovely. And these amazing films.
Let's just point out, right?
Here we go.
Here we go. Shut up, man. You've got to take both and like do an aggregate from both, really. But there's a great, I mean, I usually go with
Mark Lamar.
I usually go with a reviewer score because the audience score, which kind of I think was proven with The Last Jedi, that they will be bitter over trivial things. Okay, so there's a great quote from Noel Gallagher who says the general public are morons, which I live by that quote. I deal with my job, I deal with the public.
Is that a great quote?
It is. The general public are idiots, man. Come on, you know this. Look at election results all the time.
Well, idiots, the thing is that with an audience score, what you could tell is they'll probably either say they hate something or they'll say they love something. They'll never be sort of in between. They'll never sort of give a measured response to things.
That's the thing. That's what I don't like about Rotten Tomatoes is it's either ridiculously high or ridiculously low. And on IMDb it's like a 7, but on Rotten Tomatoes it's a 98 or a 31.
Yeah.
And I want something that's in between, because IMDb is for people that watch a film on a Saturday on Sky and they go, yeah, it was all right. I wasn't really concentrating. It was on my phone, 7 out of 10. When they might have missed something, you know. And it's just the bottom. I think you literally just have your friends that you know, and you just go, well, I trust that person when it comes to their taste in films, and that is the only people worth listening to. I think anything else, or a reviewer on television that you go, oh wow, we have similar taste. That's who I'll listen to. Because I remember movie.
Which friend do you trust the most in his opinion on films?
Stuart Whittingham. Do you remember Movie Watch with Johnny Font?
Yeah.
You guys remember that? And and at the start of it, they would say
that was good. Yeah.
These are my favorite films. So you'd kind of go, ooh, that guy says my favorite film is Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Leon. I'd be like, wow, I'm listening to this person. You know, it is really interesting. And I just think Rotten Tomatoes kind of just goes crazy in either direction. It always goes too far either way.
All I'm saying is it's a very, very, very well liked film. So I'm hoping, Dave. Nah, just this other film.
Did your relative make this film? Why are you pimping so much?
I just can't believe how much you're slagging off Matt Damon. It's unbelievable. Like, he's such a nice guy as well in real life. Like, honestly, man.
Right, I've got some questions when you're done, man.
No, go ahead, because I could talk about Matt Damon all night.
Before I watched the film, I wrote down some things that I wanted to keep an eye on when I was watching the film. And one of them was the score, because I'm notoriously bad for just ignoring scores in films, okay? So I thought, right, I'll keep a listen out for this one. And after about half an hour, I was like, is there a score in this film?
There is a score. There's a really good score.
But it was like quite low in the mix.
Chicka-choo.
This is what threw me out of the film as such, okay? So the film is set in 65, 66. For me, the music was very much kind of Creedence Clearwater Revival-esque, the guitar and everything, which was late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. So I was like, wait, why have they chosen this kind of music, which is 5 years later or so?
Yeah, because it feels, you're spot on. It feels like almost like 71, 70, the Eagles and shit like that, man. Yeah, I agree.
Right, interesting.
The score was quite often masked by the engine sounds, which Nunes has got a boner about. I don't know, I just felt it was minimalist. It was like in the background. Did you like the soundtrack then, Shafi?
Yeah. I mean, it sort of fit the tone. Okay, regardless of whether it's sort of historically correct or sort of falls in line with sort of the era, I think it still sort of fits the tone of the film. It's sort of light, breezy, fun. And I would say actually the sort of downside of this film, I think, is just the fact that it has that okay, so spoilers here. It shows the death of Ken Miles, and that feels like, because it's such a fun film, it's quite an odd beat to end the film on, and also they sort of brush past it quite lightly as well.
Would you prefer, like in Rush, where there was some text at the end saying, you know, James Hunt died from this so many years later, or?
I normally hate that. In biopics. That really sort of annoys. Well, actually, it annoyed me more in Unbreakable, but let's not go into that.
It's all right in biopics, but Unbreakable is such a sellout, isn't it? God.
But I actually probably would have preferred that at the end, is to sort of kind of, because that, to be honest, is sort of in a way it's sort of irrelevant as well, because this is all about this particular Le Mans race. So
can I just say something? Like, I think in a fake film like Unbreakable, to finish like that is such a cop out and such a sellout. But I don't get your problem with it in a biopic. I think that's fine. These people, you kind of, sometimes it will just show a segment of someone.
Are you saying you didn't need to see it visually? It could have just been like,
as I said, I normally hate that in biopics, and the reason why, answering Dave's question, is because I'm watching a film, I'm not reading a Wikipedia entry. It's show don't tell. So I don't want to. But then again, there are some amazing films that have had that at the end.
For me, I think the reason he did it was that he wanted to show Carroll Shelby at the end being all stoic in his car and just like staring, which is how the film opens. Did you notice that same scene, that same kind of shot was used at the very beginning?
Yeah, it's a good
end. But just very quickly, going on biopics, I mean, I know what our three answers will be, but this is for Andy, because he loves this film more than
life itself.
It's so good.
How would you compare this then to Walk the Line, which is another James Mangold film? For me, obviously, a biopic, Johnny Cash.
Can you ask me another question about a film I've seen, please?
I thought you were going to say.
Ask me another question, but I've got to at least have seen the film.
Right, here we go.
Let's talk about Logan, because that
that was a good question, Carl, but I'm so sorry. I don't know what Are you talking about the ITV series that Jen's watching upstairs now about the police? Or is that Line Under
it was
Duty, Line Under Fire, or what the hell was going on?
It was the Johnny Cash biopic with Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon.
Nah, I've seen The Joker. I can talk about that.
Directed by James Mangold.
I like the way
this, yeah.
I like the way you pronounced Joaquin Phoenix's name. Whacking Phoenix.
Wackow. So yeah, to answer your question, Carl, I preferred Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah. Well, you should watch Walk the Line. It's a great film.
All right, I will. I'll do it. Sorry, I'll do it tomorrow.
Can we talk about Logan?
Quickly before we do, let's just talk about the Wolverine. I hated that film, so that's that done.
That's it.
That was also James Mangold.
Fade out, music up.
I didn't think it was that bad up until the last 20 minutes or something when it all sort of fell apart.
How many Wolverine films have there been? 3 or 2?
3.
There's 3, isn't there? Yeah.
I will say this: Hugh Jackman is the most talented artist on the planet, and there's no denying that.
He's such a nice guy.
Honestly.
Well, you just said this is Matt Damon.
This is interesting.
Matt Damon can't sing or dance.
This is very interesting. You brought up Hugh Jackman. So
thank you.
When I first saw this film announced or saw the trailer, Ford v Ferrari, I thought, so Christian Bale was announced to play Enzo Ferrari in a biopic directed by Michael Mann. So then when I saw that, I was like, oh, well, this isn't actually is that the same film that they were developing? But then it actually is a completely different film. And who actually took over that role is took over that role for so Hugh Jackman will play Enzo Ferrari in a biopic.
Why am we getting an Italian person to do it? I don't get that.
So I'm quite amazed none of you have raised this, because this is the one bit where I think the film gets completely lost, and it tries to make something out of this, and it doesn't work. So I'm just going to read you a quote from the film, and then I'm just going to discuss this for 20 seconds. So the quote is this, and it's said by Shelby. He goes, "There's a point at 7,000 RPM where everything fades. The machine becomes weightless. It just disappears. All that's left, a body moving through space and time. 7,000 RPM. That's where you meet it. You feel it coming. It creeps up near you and it asks you a question. The only question that really matters: who are you?" And throughout the film, there's just this sprinkling of 7,000 RPM and this like racing meets Zen. And I don't think that worked. It didn't work. I get what they're trying to do. But for me, that it just was like, it went from this like fun, entertaining film to trying to make this like mad point between like man, machine, and the mind. And I don't think that works.
Would you have preferred it to be more existential, or would you have been?
Yeah.
Or would you would have preferred it?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, because I actually know what that means. When this is going to sound ridiculous, but when I get up to about 80, 90 on the bike, you're clear completely. And it is a form of meditation. I know that's insane, but everything.
Where do you do 80, 90 on a bike?
Well, I can't say on this, but on the autobahn. But something does happen to you, and if you ask any of the TT racers in the or any race, it doesn't matter. Like something does happen to you, and that wasn't. They tried to explore it, and I think they missed the mark by miles.
Yeah, I think they tried to make it.
That was all.
They make that rings a bell now, and they made too big a deal of it. Everyone would get it.
Yeah.
It's like they're just living in a different world. Only a very small percentage of people drive like that.
Yeah,
like
they can't go from that to then he goes to the grocery store to buy some muffins, and they end up having the best fucking Royal Rumble of all time in the front yard. Yeah. And then Molly comes out.
I like that.
Funny boys.
That was actually my favourite scene in the whole film. Was
that was the best scene out of the whole movie, because it was just light and funny, and that's what this whole film was meant to be about.
I really, really enjoyed that scene.
A question that a question that Andy's brought up in a briefing point is, what is the funniest fight scene you've seen?
Well, that on the grass, it doesn't get any funnier than that.
Come on, I think Dave and I think the florist Dave and I to sort of pick our best funny fight scene. What would you say?
I don't know.
Dave?
Though, it's not fair if we're like choosing a proper kung fu film that is trying to learn.
Yeah, why
comedy
not?
Kung fu.
Why not?
It makes you laugh, man.
I don't know, but that's the sole purpose of these films. It's like,
what about Anchorman?
yeah, that's not bad. Not bad.
What
I'd rather
about
it was a film like-
what about Airplane when he's sort of making his way through the airport and everyone's sort of stopping him and he does all these sort of different moves.
Yeah.
What about Happy Gilmore when he batters that old bloke?
Right, well, just quickly, James Mangold is going to be directing the new Indiana Jones film. So based on this, what do you think? That film will be any good, or
this is the wrong film to sort of judge like how good he would be, and I think there are two films that in his filmography that you would say that he's competent enough. There's one called 3:10 to Yuma. 3:10 from Yuma or 3:10 to Yuma. Have you guys seen that?
No, it's been on my list for a while, but never seen it.
It's brilliant. I was really because I wasn't, like Kyle's point earlier, I had no expectations and I was really pleased with it. It doesn't quite make sense, but I really like the 3:10 to Yuma.
So that and a film that he did with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz called Night and Day, and that's sort of like I mean, you know, the film's not very good, quite forgettable, but it has that tone, that sort of fun, sort of breezy tone with lots of sort of slick action scenes. So I think he's competent enough to do it.
I've seen that film and I can't remember anything about it, so you're right about it being forgettable.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I quite like the scene in the plane. I have to confess, I like that scene in the plane.
Yeah,
I just like the way it's shot.
That's it for me with this. If you want to do scores, let's go round then. So Dave, you go first.
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Okay. Andy?
7.5 for me, chaps. Sorry you didn't enjoy it and I wasted your time.
I'd have probably given it 7, but given that Andy loves this film and gave it 7.5, I'm going to have to give it less. So I'd probably give it 6.5.
Ooh, cheeky.
Yeah. I liked it, but yeah, 6.5. If someone said to me, should I watch this film? I'd say yeah.
Yeah. If you're not doing anything else, why not?
I'd say no.
If you're not doing anything else,
You just say no. You just say no.
I'd say paint a wall and then watch it dry.
Oh, chill out. You'd rather paint the wall than watch Ford versus Ferrari. Bullshit, motherfucker.
well, paint the wall and then watch Ford versus Ferrari while it dries.
I can't believe this is being slagged off this much. I'm really upset, actually. I thought you guys would enjoy this.
I give it 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it.
Yes, Shafi. Good. Positive vibes. And what did you give it, Dave? 4?
4 out of 10.
He said 5 originally. Now it's gone down to 4. I don't know what happened in the 5 minutes.
Oh, because you're giving Assassin's Creed and Hitman 9.5. Ah.
It's just...
Goodness
gracious. No, actually, okay, I'm sorry. 5 out of 10 is fair. 5 out of 10 is fair. 5 out of 10.
Okay, so those are our scores. So the next in the rota is Dave. So Dave, apparently you have chosen the next film for us to watch. So let's have a drum roll.
I'm gonna choose this film, and I'm gonna go with Shafi has probably seen it once a long time ago, and Carl and Andy haven't. So I'm going with this film just selfishly because I want to discuss it with people. Drum roll, please. I am going with Blood Simple.
Blood Simple.
Blood Simple.
Kyle, have you seen that?
I've never heard of it, mate. So
Never heard of it.
Is it on a platform that we can watch it?
Yeah, that's the problem. It might be difficult.
Have you got it on VHS and you can just circulate it via Royal Mail?
Let me check if it's on Amazon Prime. 1 minute. Blood Simple. You can rent it from Amazon. It is £3.49. thanks for listening, everyone. And thanks to Kyle for sorting this recording out. Andy, any sort of last words?
I'm sorry I wasted all of your time.
Dave?
Hopefully the films will be better going forward.
Kyle, anything you want to say before we...
This has been Who Dropped the Popcorn, although you should say that.
You've been listening to the Who Dropped the Popcorn podcast. Thanks for listening, guys.